Hey, I'm Chelcee Grimes, and at BT we're celebrating Black History Month, so I've come down here to St George's Park to meet with 3 England Lionesses to talk about their experiences with race and racism on and off the field. There's a lot to talk about, so let's go. Okay, well I'm here joined by these lovely ladies, Rachel Daly, Demi Stokes and Lucy Bronze. How is everyone?
Good, yeah.
We need to...
Good.
Yes, come on, Lucy, get the energy.
How are you? Buzzing to be here.
Thank you, Rach. I know, you look it. Right, listen, I'm going to kick straight off. I got asked this the other day. Who was my first sporting hero? Mine was probably Steven Gerrard. Who's yours? First sporting hero?
Mark Viduka.
Ooh,
Leeds, isn't it? That's why.
Absolute
Leeds legend.
big man.
Leeds, yeah.
What about you, Demi?
Mine, I would have said Rachel Yankee.
Yeah.
Definitely Rachel Yankee. I'm not ashamed to say it still.
Got the shirt with a
I've still got it. I've still got a
seen
shirt and all sorts, yeah.
Out of Wembley once, mate, and I was just like, oh my God, this
We still do that.
I still do. I'm like, compose yourself, compose yourself.
Remember when we first met her?
Yeah. Where
on,
was that at Sunderland?
At Sunderland, and
Yeah.
we weren't playing. We was like kids. I was with Lucy Staniforth as well. Lucy had some mad socks on, didn't she?
Yeah, we looked
And-
like...
And we were like, hi, Rachel Yankee. And she was like, hi, oh, I like your socks. And we were like, she likes your socks. I like your socks. Them socks, they're like, were literally framed after.
I'm wearing quite edgy socks today, but don't leave that alone. What about yours, Luce?
To be fair, sporting, like, is probably more a sporting person than football. Like Paul Radcliffe and Kelly Holmes. I just remember, Paul Radcliffe just won everything, but I just remember Kelly Holmes when she like won the Olympics, and it was like that one over the line. That was like always stuck in my head that she was just a mad beast, like the two of them, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that without football, like Venus and Serena Williams, like
Yeah.
2 sisters just competing all the time for like, the top level tennis. That's unbelievable to me.
Yeah, it's
were-
insane when you think about what they've achieved, the pair of them.
Yeah.
It is quite crazy. What about, I think obviously we've seen Marcus Rashford lately doing a lot to give back and stuff like that. What defines someone in sport doing really well for you?
The all-round, like, obviously he's performing and stuff on the pitch, but I think it's about, he's done very well to use his platform, and I think he is all right, and he could just go about his day in his life and think, oh, I'm fine, like, you know, that's not my issue. But I think what he's done's like amazing to stand up for the kids, and I think he's done it because he can relate, and I think, and that's why he's done it. And I think someone of his like caliber and level to do that, I think we have to jump on that as well. And I think if it's, you know, something that I'm passionate about, or anyone else, whatever it is you are passionate about, is you can use your platform, and I think it's important too. And I think more so now, we are all starting to realise that actually, whether it's you're talking about Black Lives Matter or domestic violence, whatever it is, that you can propel forward and help other people that maybe don't have a voice.
Yeah, I mean, he set the bar pretty high, hasn't he? It's also, you know, with him coming forward as well about the race issues in the game and stuff like that. I know all of you have lived away. You were in Houston. Demi, where were you at?
Florida.
And Lucy, obviously, you just done a big lengthy stay over in France. How do you think it's different over there, or do you think it's the same as here? What was your experience like?
Yeah, I spoke about this a little bit yesterday in our diversity meeting. I think obviously being in America for some of the horrible tragedies that happened, obviously, especially with George Floyd, and it being in Houston as well. I was in Houston and he's from Houston, so the city of Houston itself was really, really affected. There was marches. We actually took part in one of the marches, which was one of the most powerful things I think I've ever been to. I don't think I'll ever experience anything like that again. Honestly, I hope I never do, because it's all under terrible circumstances. But I think as much as it's rife over there in terms of the things that have happened and the tragedies that they've faced, I think the way that they're handling it now is very much open. People are openly speaking about it. People are speaking up. People are using their platform. I think LeBron James is a prime example of somebody who is using his voice. You know, Megan Rapinoe. I think strong, powerful voices like what Marcus Rashford and I are doing for kids and stuff over here. I think seeing that over there for me is something that hasn't been as magnified over here as what it is there. But I think, yeah, it's something that's ongoing, and hopefully something that we stick with and keep battling and fighting for. And getting the rights the same way and never having to deal with stuff like this again.
Yeah, because I know people are like trying to lock it down, and it's getting less and less. But you know, for me personally, we're all girls here. We've obviously had the odd name thrown at us for maybe being a girl playing football growing up, but I've definitely had racial issues as well. Being like racially abused, has that happened to you before, Demi?
Yeah, I think when I was younger, I played for an all-girls team, and it was my first ever game. I think it was a corner, so one of the lads said, "Oh, I'll mark and said P word." And so I've kind of looked around because I'm thinking, you know, I'm Jamaican, and is he talking to me? So I think that was the first experience, but I just went and told the ref, and after it, he was crying and he did apologise. So I think he, you know, learned his lesson from.
And how old was you then?
I think I would have been about 8,
Wow.
so it was quite young. And in my head, I didn't like think like, oh, this is racial abuse, I must go and tell the ref. It was just, oh, I'll just go and tell the ref, like, he'll sort it out. But I think when it's in a controlled environment, it's quite easy to think logical and do it that way. So, but he apologised and hopefully learned his lesson, and you know, as an adult, he's learnt from that. So,
how do England, the setup, and the FA deal with diversity?
Yeah, we actually had a diversity inclusion meeting yesterday, which was really good. It's really good for us to, I think, be educated on what the FA's doing and the diversity code that they're bringing in and things like that. But yeah, I think for me, we've been a little bit reactive to the Black Lives Matter movement. Mm-hmm. I think, obviously, like I said, being in America, I think I've been aware of it a lot more and I've been a bit more educated than maybe a lot of the girls here, and I think I raised the point that I think we need more education. Everybody, I think the staff need education, I think players need education, I think even kids need educating on this matter right now because it's something that everyone, I think, feels so strongly about. So I obviously suggested that we should have some education, and I think the FA can look into that, but I think we've been a little bit too reactive and maybe start to be a bit more proactive with things like that now, because it's obviously, again, a significant matter that we're all very passionate about and feel really strongly about. If you ask the majority of girls, not even just in our team, in the league,
yeah,
why we're kneeling before a game, and I think a lot of people would just say Black Lives Matter or George Floyd, but it goes deeper than that. It goes beyond that. It goes back to slavery. It goes back to the history of the terrible things that happened in the world long before we were all born, and I think that's where it's not just about this movement that's happening now. Yes, it's in the forefront of our minds, but it goes deeper and it goes back a lot further, and there's things that I definitely don't know, but I think I try and educate myself on, and I think being able to sort of, again, as athletes and as professional sports people, put that out in the open, that we know what we're talking about in that matter, because sometimes not using your voice is worse.
Yeah.
You know, people say at the start, when I was lost for words with a lot of the things at the beginning of all this, and I took a while to sort of take a backseat and look at the things that I wanted to learn about, and spoke to a black girl on my team in Houston, and she gave me a lot of good insight to a lot of things that I didn't know. And you know, by not saying something, I got so much abuse on social media saying you're racist, you're this, you're that, because you're not speaking up. Having no voice is worse than having a voice about anything, and that kind of hit me hard, because I was like, I'm 1,000% not racist, and I'm trying to gather my thoughts, but I can see how, as somebody, as a role model for people or as a person of influence, not using my voice is actually a bad thing, and I didn't ever see that until maybe a few months ago.
Do you know what? I was exactly the same with that.
Yeah.
It was like, not saying something is just as bad, and then it was literally like, you're right. I was like, you're right, but then it was like, now I need to know actually what it is what it is that I'm saying, and saying it like in the right way. And then it was also like, but just putting yourself out there and just being honest with it.
Yeah. Because I think, like I said that when I got asked to do an interview, and I was a bit like, oh, like I proper overthought it, and I thought, why are you overthinking it? Like, just, it's your opinion, it's what you know, so you're not wrong, it's just what you think, and that's
there's no right or wrong answer,
and that's
really,
the thing, and that's
honest.
like, in my head I was like, if I tell someone to go left or I tell someone to go right, I'm gonna be wrong from somewhere or other, so it was kind of like, do you know what, do it and own it kind of thing. But I think it's just being comfortable with it, and do you know what, you're gonna say the wrong things, like we said, not everyone's perfect. You're going to say the wrong terminology, or it might be interpreted the wrong way, but that's then where you go, oh, well, all right, okay, that's not the way you say it, or this
and you learn.
So until you just go for it and you know, and if people have questions and you don't understand, then that's where the education piece comes in, or, you know, you get yourself on Google or whatever it might be, read a book, then you can, you know, build that way. But I think until you speak out, then you're not helping anyone. But it should just be comfortable with it, and you will make mistakes. I make mistakes, I feel uncomfortable, and I'm black, so it's like, but you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
how do you think a white person feels speaking about it? So that's where my shift was. It was like, actually, no, you've got to speak up as well, because I can't expect Rach and Luce to speak up when actually they might not have even experienced, but they're willing to still put themselves forward. So
we did mention, obviously, our inspirations growing up, Rachel Yankee, the Williams sisters. But what about, you know, when Obama, you know, Barack got into the White House? Do you think it's important and powerful, obviously, of seeing people in really powerful positions now?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I think what Obama especially did for America, he changed that place. Even his wife, Michelle Obama, I think she has been a massive inspiration to everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I think every one of us can say we probably read her book. Sorry if you haven't, but you should. I think it's incredible. But again, it's almost like what Demi said. I think to the point where maybe we need to stop looking at them as black and white.
Yeah.
Because I know, you know, I think we as people I don't look at people like, well, they're black and they're white, and Donald Trump's white and Obama's black. It's who they are and what they do and how good they are at their job, and I think that's how it should be. And obviously, if everyone thought that way, the world would be a lot better place. But it's definitely influential. It's powerful, I think.
And it needs to keep going. Obviously, I think a lot of Americans were surprised that it had to happen because it had never happened before. Maybe it should have happened sooner. But, you know, people talk about managers as well in the game and stuff, and that still needs to keep changing.
It's
What do you
just about
think?
having like something to like aspire for. Like if you can't see it, like how are you gonna aspire to be something that you can't see?
Yeah.
Like when I say about my sporting heroes, it was Paula Radcliffe and Kelly Holmes, because they was the only women that I saw on the telly.
Yeah.
That's why. Like Rachel Yankee was big, and that came a little bit after. But even then, it was like, how do I see these people on the TV? Whereas, like, because it's the Olympics, it's athletics, it's just there. And there was the two, and like I said, I had these female role models in my life that I then looked to them. So then it was Paula Radcliffe, Kelly Holmes was just amazing to me because of that. And then I saw that, and that inspired me, instead of just it was always boys or it was always white men or whatever it was. It does inspire people, and I think we've all had that in our lives.
I think it's about, though, like breaking the cycle as well of like how we interpret things or how we like see things. Because I think when we did our like diversity talk, the woman was saying, well, like, I'm black, so I don't think I could have done that job. So I think it's about like breaking that cycle and like perceptions of what we put on Asians, black people, white people, and breaking that. So, you know, you don't have to be president and have to be white, and you know what I mean? You can be wherever you want. You come from a council estate, you can come from a posh family, you can come from anything, and you can be anything you want to be, as long as you put the groundwork in. So
we're going to finish, girls. Bit of a hard one, but what do you want to achieve with your platform?
Yeah, I think it's finding out obviously what you're passionate about and actually using it as a positive tool rather than actually, it does me head in, I'm not going to do it, because it's quite wasteful, I think, from me. So I think I've tried to, especially with like the Black Lives Matter movement, be a lot better. And actually, do you know what? Yeah, you might have only experienced one or two, you know, pieces of, you know, racial abuse or whatever, but actually, what about the little girl at school that doesn't have maybe internet at home, that, you know, doesn't have support from parents? So that's where my mind set switched, and it's actually I can help anyone. As long as we're good people, like we all said, your heart's in the right place and you're willing to learn, it's all going to be good. Thank you, girls, so much. That was brilliant.
Thank you.